Hello and welcome to Movies with Mercer. This episode is a little bit different to the previous episodes, mainly because it's not one of my top 10 lists. One of those will be coming out very shortly. But the other reasons are I am joined with special guest Willow.
Hi!
This is a separate series that I'm going to start, which is called Watch or Wait. In this series, I will go to the cinema with either a special guest or on my own.
And then we'll help you guys decide whether you should watch it in the cinema or wait till it's on DVD.
Or not watch it at all.
Yeah, just burn it on a pile of rubbish.
Yeah. Today's episode, we went to watch The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. This is all very confusing because technically The Suicide Squad is a sequel to David Ayer's Suicide Squad. It doesn't really feel like a sequel at all. It just feels like a rejigging of the whole plotline. So let's get into it.
I really like the beginning, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I think the way that they did it, where it wasn't like they went back and they did like a complete flashback to the Suicide Squad. They literally started it with, you know the drill. This is what happened.
They do.
You do this, you die.
The biggest criticism you can make of the first Suicide Squad film is that they spent 20 minutes doing absolutely bugger all.
They spent the whole film doing absolutely bugger all.
And then you spend the first 15 minutes of this film with just explosions everywhere.
Yeah.
Here's an introduction to a character, don't get attached.
Which I think they did really well with the marketing as well, because there were so many names, you could tell that not everyone was going to make it to the end, but you didn't know which characters were going to make it.
In this one, whereas the first one, the word Suicide Squad didn't really make any sense because only one spoiler alert if you don't watch it. Actually, don't watch the original.
Don't
but
bother.
in all honesty, if you did, you'd know that only two characters actually die in that film, and the rest of them are like, oh no, it's tragic. Whereas in this one, like, they put that many names on the poster that you do know that there are going to be a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And it was the fact that, like, they were big name actors as well, and you fully knew that they weren't going to make it to the end. And they were just in it because they wanted, like, they were big
and
names.
You're sitting
there, wanted to have, like, superhero movies.
And you are sitting there, you're sitting there on the edge of your seat the whole time going, like, is John Cena going to bite the dust right now?
Yeah.
Like, no, the building fell on him, but he's fine, that kind of thing. I think that they took a lot of inspiration from the things that they did right after Suicide Squad, like the Harley Quinn film, where they got Harley Quinn's character development right, and then obviously James Gunn kind of went, okay, we've developed that character enough, so we don't have to spend ages on that character, so we'll introduce you to all these other ones, and then we'll just go from there. Even the characters I hated from the original Suicide Squad, like Captain Boomerang, Rick Flag, even I hated Viola Davis in the original, like as Amanda Waller. I thought that their scripts were clunky and nothing was really going anywhere. Whereas in this one, you do feel like James Gunn took one look at those characters and went, no, you could have got way more out of those, so we'll big these characters up a bit more and give you something to go on as far as that's concerned. I think the one thing you've got to realise with this film is, if you don't like superhero movies, this is going to be a bit of a difficult one for you to sit through.
I don't think that's the case because it pokes fun at superhero movies in the same way that kind of Deadpool and Deadpool 2 do.
The one thing that you do get from this film as well, though, it is a huge film. Like, it is a spectacle when you're watching it. There's no half measures when it comes to any of the gore. If you're not into gore, then this may be the film to sort of skip out on.
Yeah, I definitely had to turn away from the screen a good few times.
Yeah.
You almost didn't expect it because there were a number of times when I would turn away from the screen because I could tell it was going to get gory. And you're like, no, it's going to be fine. And then I just saw your face go, oh my god.
The thing that I really got from it is that this felt a lot more like the Suicide Squad comics, in that they're just bad people, but they're just doing something for the sake of doing it. Like there is actually one character that they openly say at the start of it that they've killed like 23 children. And you sit there and you go, okay, alright. Well, and as soon as you heard that, you were like, don't think
this is not a Disney.
None of them are going to break into song halfway through.
Although, contrary to that, the Harley Quinn Disney princess scene, which is what I'm going to name it as, it was amazing and I loved it so much. It was what I needed from that film.
So I do want to go into a bit of a spoiler-heavy territory here. Okay. So we might actually have to skip. If you don't want this, there's going to be a timestamp on the screen that says skip to this point. So, okay, first spoiler alert, Will Smith is not in this film. In a way, it's kind of to its benefit as well, because the first one does feel a little bit like the Will Smith show with Margot Robbie as supporting character. This one, you've got a brilliant actor like Idris Elba playing a character that you don't need to give much depth to in order for him to do his job.
He's a very real character, so when he is put in a group with people like Harley Quinn, Polka Dot Man, Peacemaker and King Shark,
oh yeah, you mentioned who wasn't it? Ratcatcher?
Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 1 being played by Taika Waititi, well-known comedic actor. Of course, heroin addict is what we're going to go with here. You're going to make him Starro. This is what James Gunn does, is he takes a really naff villain in Starro the Conqueror and makes Starro the Conqueror quite fun in a way. Like, it's
also fucking terrifying.
It's really creepy.
Like, it's the perfect balance of gimmickiness that it's a fucking starfish that's destroying a city, but also I was terrified of the starfish that was destroying the city.
It's absolutely horrific. Like, the film itself is completely bonkers, really ridiculous, big spectacle.
Peter Capaldi was brilliant. And I was saying to you in the car ride home, I'm just so happy that he's actually got like a big break in Hollywood role.
Yeah.
And it was nice as like two people from England that every time he was on screen it was a little bit like watching a weird version of Doctor Who.
Yeah, what I said is that Peter Capaldi's character is basically a mixture of his character from The Thick of It and Doctor Who. There's like that whole bit where he's doing the monologue about Starro and all you're hearing is like, that's how he talks about...
Get back into the TARDIS, car! And he's got the Davros thing sticking out. It's like some weird sort of AU band.
Like, oh god. I mean, right, really quickly, do you have a favourite character from that? One character that stood out to you as your favourite character out of them all? Spoiler heavy territory, so I'm not going to turn around and say TDK because... or what is it, Weasel?
Oh, fuck it. I hate Weasel. Weasel's going to be in my nightmares.
Weasel is the greatest character ever created.
I don't know who to cosplay out of Harley Quinn or Ratcatcher 2 because both of them were brilliant.
If I had to... It's between two. It's either Peacemaker or Polka Dot Man. And I have to say Polka Dot Man sort of edges it in the end. I'm a massive Batman nerd. I really am. I love Batman. My favourite Batman villain is Calendar Man. But James Gunn said that Polka Dot Man is the biggest joke ever created. And what he did is he gave him this dramatic backstory, which was just laughable at the same time.
Yeah. It was a really well-written storyline as well, because I couldn't tell from the film that wasn't his backstory in the comic books. And I was like,
none of that is real. It is a very pretty film. Whereas the first Suicide Squad film is really gloomy. In this one, it's very vibrant colours, especially someone like Polka Dot Man. I will say there were a few falters with the film. There was a lot of times where it just felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy film. The whole sequence with Harley Quinn, like, mowing down people with bullets, just felt like that come a little bit close to seeing with Yondu and Rocket and with the arrow flying around. He then does change it up very well with the whole flowers coming out of the blood splatters and stuff like that.
That's the Disney princess scene, by the way.
Yeah, the first Suicide Squad film is dreadful.
Because they tried to do it and they failed, so they hired the guy who did it well. So
There are moments where David Ayer went, oh right, okay, I tell you what we should put in here. We should put in Bohemian Rhapsody or like Eminem at a random point when it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it just makes it not work. What do you think about the costume design?
I love the costume design.
Really?
Yeah, I think Harley Quinn's costumes, especially because Harley Quinn's costumes was such a hot topic when the first film came out. I think they kind of bridged a balance between what we saw in the last film and what we saw in the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, because the costume designer in Emancipation of Harley Quinn put so much effort into making them clothes that women would find it fun to wear. And I turned to you so many times and was like, I want to make that costume. I love that costume in this film because they were costumes that I would want to wear.
Yeah, there was no needless sexualisation of her costume in particular as well. It's not important to the plot for her to be sexy. I thought
and
that
Ratcatcher as well was a
Yeah.
perfect example of that, who literally just was in like a parka and some
Yeah,
jeans and some boots.
But Polka Dot Man's costume, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Peacemaker's costume is very striking to the eye, very, very
I
cool
think
looking.
also what works as well is because they're pitched as these sort of second-rate superheroes, what I quite liked is that they had costumes which are a bit more on that gimmicky old vintage side, because that was all that they could afford, or they've been in prison for so long that that's what they wore when they were out causing these problems.
The best thing about this film, though, is how it just scraps everything from the first one. Like, and it really does. Like, you are 5 minutes into this film, and Captain Boomerang has already been blown up. Which, I sat there and almost fucking applauded at that shit, because it was dreadful in the first one. And killing off Rick Flag the way they did. I mean, to be fair, they did a lot better with Rick Flag's character in this one.
Yeah.
They didn't just make him line dispenser for exposition and shit. They actually get... And the irony is, you gave him more character development in this film than you did in the film where he has his literal love interest.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about one character, we've kind of skirted away from it, but it goes without saying that King Shark was fucking hilarious in this film. Everyone talks about how great Groot was, but actually, King Shark is way better for me. Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. Like, way more depth to the character as well. I mean, the scene with the fucking jellyfish, and I was every single time King Shark was on screen, I was pissing myself laughing. So we'll take it in turns. Willow goes first. Would you watch or wait?
I would say watch. I think it's an enjoyable film. I think it made us laugh a lot, and it definitely cheered us up after a long week. So I think, especially at the moment, it would be good to get out and go and see a film that will bring you a little bit of joy.
Okay.
And a few exploding heads.
For me, it's a watch. I mean, the spectacle itself on the big screen is phenomenal. It's really pretty, big, vibrant colours, but also the set pieces are huge as well. And I don't think you'd get as much from watching it on the small screen as you would watching it on the big screen. And what did we rate it?
I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, because I think it did a lot of good for the DC franchise, and I think it definitely improved on what it had. But like you said, it was just James Gunn doing a DC version of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And it was good, it just wasn't perfect.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's fair to say that there were a few missteps along the way, and some characters didn't get developed enough, and it was very much everything's happening at one big point, but that was the whole point of the film. So you can't really knock it for that. Also, that opening sequence is something else, so definitely should watch it for that.
So we hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to hit the like button so that we know that you like this kind of content.
Also, make sure to subscribe to the Movies with Mercer channel so that you can see more content like this in the future.
And if you've seen the film, be sure to comment down below what your thoughts were on it.
Last thing to say is thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.
Bye!
Being said, James Blunt's previous two...
James Blunt.
James Blunt.
Go on.
So, I'll hand it over to Willow to do the... Would she watch or wait? So...
What?
So... So, just... So...
Hang on, no, I'm not there yet. I'm not yet there.
I've just did my serious video. Serious video.
Okay.
Bullets.
Okay. That's enough now. That's enough. We're done.